1. Texas flood disaster. Camp Mystic tragedy and unanswered warnings. Hill Country flooding update. 2. Texas flooding tragedy. Remembering the lives lost. Camp Mystic, heroic dad, and more. 3. Texas floods. Death toll hits 89 amid climate change warning. Storm updates. 1. Texas flood disaster. Camp Mystic tragedy and unanswered warnings. Hill Country flooding update. A tragedy of overwhelming proportions has shaken Central Texas. In just 4 days, catastrophic flooding has claimed the lives of more than 80 people, an event that ranks among America's deadliest weather disasters of the past century. The devastation is heart-wrenching, with entire communities shattered and haunting questions rising about whether this loss could have been prevented. And here's where the debate turns heated. Were the warning systems and emergency preparations truly enough, or did budget decisions seal the fate of families and children caught in the deluge? Let's dig into the evolving crisis and the controversy that's capturing headlines and stirring debate far beyond Texas. Unimaginable loss at Camp Mystic and beyond. Camp Mystic, a revered all-girls Christian summer retreat nestled along the Guadalupe River, has become a symbol of the disaster. On Monday, officials confirmed that at least 27 campers and counselors have died in what leaders have called an unimaginable tragedy. Among the victims are girls as young as 8, counselors, and the camp's longtime director. Lives lost in an instant as the river burst its banks. In Kerr County, the area hardest hit by the floods, search teams, bolstered by hundreds of first responders, volunteers, and even military helicopters, continue to comb through debris and perilous waters. As of Monday, the death toll across Texas had risen to at least 88. 10 girls and a counselor from Camp Mystic are still unaccounted for, while hope for survivors diminishes hour by hour. Mayor Joe Herring Jr. of Kerrville issued a somber warning. This will be a rough week. A torrent unleashed, the flood that changed everything. The rain began on July 4th, intensifying rapidly into one of the deadliest floods the nation has seen in 100 years. Rescue workers have faced extraordinary challenges, sometimes finding people clinging to trees, sometimes forced to transition from rescue to recovery as the odds of survival fade. Victims are scattered across the region. 75 deaths were reported in Kerr County alone, with others in Travis, Burnett, Kendall, Williamson, and Tom Green counties. Among the missing are members of a family swept away while camping along the Guadalupe River. One person survived a harrowing ordeal, dragged by currents for over 15 miles. Could this have been prevented? The warning system controversy ***. And this is the part that will spark disagreement. For years, local leaders in Kerr County and neighboring communities debated implementing advanced flood warning systems, sirens, river gauges, and alert networks. But the proposals were repeatedly tabled or rejected, often due to concerns about cost. The rural county of 50,000, in the heart of Flash Flood Alley, lost out on a $1 million grant to fund the system. Instead, they continued to rely on word-of-mouth alerts between camp leaders and sporadic text messages, many of which arrived too late, or not at all. Senator Ted Cruz has promised a thorough investigation, vowing that future tragedies must be averted. Yet some officials remain skeptical about whether warning systems alone could have made a difference, considering the rapid rise of floodwaters. What do you think? Could lives have been saved if better alert systems were in place? Or are critics underestimating the unpredictable power of nature? How you can assist, and what to watch out for. Aftermath scenes are still unfolding, and the need for help is immense. Officials urge the public not to converge on affected areas, as extra volunteers can inadvertently hinder emergency efforts. Instead, monetary donations are the most effective way to support. The Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department accepts donations via Venmo. Look for username CPVFDTX. Beware of impersonators, and by mail. The Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country is collecting funds for rescue and rebuilding through the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. Salvation Army's Kerrville Croc Center seeks supplies, non-perishables, hygiene items, cleaning supplies, and diapers. Texar, a volunteer search and rescue group, and World Central Kitchen, supplying meals to responders, are both welcoming donations. Austin Pets Alive is handling displaced pets and needs monetary gifts and pet supplies. GoFundMe has compiled verified pages for individual victims. Before donating, Always verify organizations' legitimacy through platforms like Charity Navigator or GuideStar. Scammers unfortunately exploit disasters like this. Weather warnings remain in effect. The region's ordeal isn't over. The National Weather Service has extended flood watches across central Texas, expecting additional rainfall that could lead to more flash flooding, especially in the vulnerable hill country, Heartland, Concho Valley, and Edwards Plateau areas. Meteorologists warn that showers will continue, with some isolated downpours possibly bringing up to 10 inches of rain. On the ground, stories of heroism, survival, and loss. As searchers fight through fatigue and heartbreak, community members from every walk of life, office workers, landscapers, neighbors, have banded together, hoping to reunite families or simply bring closure. The devastation is everywhere. Homes vanished, entire neighborhoods erased. Astoundingly, there are stories of survival, too. A woman saved after clinging to a tree all night, a girl rescued after floating on a mattress for hours, and a counselor who led her young campers to safety through rising water. Yet for many, the outcome has been tragic. From Kerrville to Center Point and Hunt, those who survived describe a landscape changed beyond recognition and face grief that will last a lifetime. A glance back. How does this compare historically? The scale of the Central Texas floods is sobering. Flooding is America's second deadliest weather hazard after heat, killing an average of 113 people per year. Past disasters put this event in perspective. The Galveston hurricane of 1900 remains the deadliest U.S. natural disaster, with some 8,000 killed. Other notorious floods include the Mississippi River flood of 1927, 246 dead, Ohio River flood of 1937, 350 dead, St. Francis Dam collapse of 1928, over 400 dead, and, more recently, Hurricane Katrina in 2005, 1,392 deaths, many flood-related. The Hill Country floods are now counted among the nation's worst since 1925. The big question, will Texas finally invest in flood protection? Here's something almost everyone has an opinion about. Texas has a backlog of $54 billion in unfunded flood management projects, but lawmakers have so far allocated only a tiny fraction of what's needed. Some residents and officials argue that the high cost of warning systems can't justify their expense, especially when lives are at stake. Others say that even the most advanced technology may not prevent tragedies when severe weather strikes with little warning. Which side do you land on? Is cost a valid concern, or should? 2. Texas flooding tragedy. Remembering the lives lost Camp Mystic, heroic dad, and more. The heartbreaking stories of Texas flood victims, from heroic acts to tragic losses. The catastrophic flash floods that ravaged central Texas over the holiday weekend claimed dozens of lives, including young campers, selfless family men, and dedicated educators. These stories reveal not just loss, but the resilience and kindness that defined their lives. Chloe Childress, a ray of light lost too soon. Chloe Childress, a 19-year-old counselor at Camp Mystic, had just graduated from the Kincaid School and was eagerly anticipating her first semester at the University of Texas at Austin. Her family described her as someone who saturated those around her with contagious joy and unending grace, a sentiment echoed by Jonathan Eads, her former head of school. He remembered her remarkable ability to create safe spaces for others, whether through sharing personal struggles or quietly supporting peers during tough moments. As Eads poignantly noted, Chloe helped build communities through her empathy and honesty. Jane Ragsdale, a pillar of strength. As director of Heart O' the Hills Camp for Girls, Jane Ragsdale epitomized the camp's mission to nurture strong, joyful women. Described as a cornerstone of our community, her death left those who knew her in stunned silence. Julian Ryan, a father's ultimate sacrifice. In a desperate bid to save his family from their inundated trailer, 27-year-old Julian Ryan fought valiantly. His sister Connie Salas recounted how within moments, ankle-deep water surged to waist level. As mattresses floated, Ryan placed their two young sons safely on top before trying to break a window, suffering severe arm injuries in the process. As water reached their chins, Ryan's final words to his fiancée were a haunting blend of love and resignation. "I love you. I'm so sorry." His family now honors him as a hero who died in vain but inspired us all. What price would any father pay to save their children? Catherine Eads, a life devoted to helping others. A psychologist, educator, and professor, Catherine Eads dedicated her career to guiding children, from foster care to university campuses. Separated from her husband in the floodwaters, her family emphasized that her legacy lives on through the countless lives she touched. We're still figuring out our world without her. Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence, twin lights extinguished. Sisters Hannah and Rebecca, 8-year-old twins from Dallas, perished alongside their pod of campers. Survived by their sister Harper, their grandfather David Lawrence Jr. reflected. The joy they gave can never be forgotten. Yet their loss raises a painful question. How do we honor such young lives cut short? Dick Eastland, the mentor who gave everything. As Camp Mystic's longtime director, Dick Eastland arguably embodied its spirit. His grandson George described him as a devoted Christian who loved others when they didn't love him back. In their final moments, Eastland prioritized saving campers over his own survival, a choice George wasn't surprised by. He made thousands feel seen and safe. This was his way. Former counselor Ryan Robinson added, he wasn't just a director. He was everyone's father figure. Sarah Marsh, a community's shared grief. 8-year-old Sarah from Mountain Brook, Alabama, became a symbol of loss spanning states. Her school community now grapples with how to support her classmates. Our hearts are with her family, Mayor Stuart Welch stated, requesting prayers for their strength. Janie Hunt, a precious light silenced. 9-year-old Janie's cousin survived, but her passing left a ripple of sorrow. Her Aunt Libby Hunt captured the communal pain. We thank you for the love with which she was born and raised. This loss echoes a broader reckoning. How do we comfort those left behind when tragedy strikes? Blair and Brooke Harbor, sisters in service and joy. Blair, 13, and Brooke, 11, found 15 miles from their cabin, exemplified act of compassion. Blair, an advanced student and play lead hopeful, served as a student ambassador. Brooke, a drama star with a gift for improv, connected with everyone she met. Their joint discovery highlights a grim reality. Natural disasters show no regard for age, talent, or potential. What could their futures have held? Reese and Paula Zunker, a dual legacy of education. Reese, a soccer coach who rebuilt programs, and Paula, a retired teacher, left behind 2 missing children. The Kerrville Independent School District mourned both as cornerstones of our community. Their story raises a provocative question. How can we honor educators who pour their lives into students? Jeff Wilson, a teacher's final lesson. A 30-year educator, Jeff Wilson's death alongside missing family members leaves his district in profound mourning. His case, however, poses a tough ethical dilemma. Should we prioritize community support for families still searching for loved ones? Final reflections. Lessons from tragedy. These stories challenge us to confront uncomfortable truths about sacrifice, loss, and community. They also invite us to ask, what lessons do their lives teach us about resilience? How can we honor their memories through action? The answers may lie in their own words. Keep showing up with heart, as Chloe's family urged. But let's not stop there. Let's start a conversation. Where do you stand on balancing heroism and self-preservation? How can we prevent future tragedies while honoring those we've lost? 3. Texas floods. Death toll hits 89 amid climate change warning storm updates. The shocking reality of climate change. Texas floods reveal a harsh truth. The recent Texas floods have left 89 people dead, a stark reminder that extreme weather events are becoming the new normal in our warming world. Let's unpack this devastating story, where science meets human tragedy and politicking clashes with necessary action. Why this disaster was predictable. Warmer air equals wetter storms. Here's the science. For every 1 degree Celsius temperature rise, the atmosphere's moisture capacity jumps about 7%. 1. This creates a dumping cycle. Heavier rain in shorter bursts, overwhelming drainage systems, and causing catastrophic flash floods. Climate scientists warn this is exactly what we should expect in a hotter world. 1. 2. Flash floods, a perfect storm. Warmer air, more moisture, intense rainfall, deadly overflow. The alarming numbers. Kerr County, 75 deaths, 27 children. Travis County, 6 fatalities. Burnett County, 3 lives lost. Other areas, 5 additional deaths. Search and rescue, a race against nature. Teams face treacherous terrain, damaged power lines, 40+ down, and the looming threat of fresh storms. 10 campers and 1 counselor remain unaccounted for at Camp Mystic, where 27 girls tragically perished. 3. The heartbreaking loss at Camp Mystic. A counselor reportedly held mattresses aloft, saving children until waters reached their neck. "This is every parent's worst nightmare," said Senator Cruz, highlighting the unimaginable pain of families searching for missing children. 4. Debate ignites over emergency warnings. Controversial claim. Some blame Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, cuts to the National Weather Service for delayed alerts. Senator Cruz's defense. He refutes the claims. 3 additional staff worked that night and called for unity rather than blame. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem insists no system failures occurred but acknowledges aging infrastructure. 5. Scam alert. Predators target grieving families. Unscrupulous individuals exploit the crisis, cashing in on fake child rescues, exploiting poor phone signals, poor/no coverage in flood zones. Lessons from the flood's fury. Fast flood facts. Evacuations are a delicate balance. Too late equals cars swept away. Flash floods come with lightning speed, says Dalton Rice. Power struggles. 40+ down power lines. No estimate for restoration. Crews work around the clock, but terrain and water continue complicating rescue efforts. Long-term rebuilding. President Trump has pledged full support, but Cruz warns this phase will take longer. The focus now remains on locating survivors and comforting shattered communities. The bigger picture. Can we prevent this? Professor Bill McGuire warns, more devastating floods lie ahead due to slow-moving, wetter storms. So here's the million-dollar question. Are we doing enough to protect vulnerable communities from climate-driven disasters? Share your thoughts below. Original sources: BBC live coverage of Texas floods.